The market doesn't listen to me. I listen to the market. So if people want their silver now and they want their gold now, they're going to have a reason for that. What could that reason be? Some people, not us, know something that we don't. Who is looking at the current geopolitical situation and imagining it's kind of peaceful and easygoing, right? They've been having a catastrophe in Gaza. They're having another catastrophe in the Ukraine and Russia. And now you've got America appearing to want to go toe-to-toe with China. It's not surprising when America picks a fight with China that everyone around the world starts going, yes, our gold reserves, can we have some more, please? The vertical move of gold represents the steps towards war. You can't fight a war or defend yourself if you don't have gold.
World War III is already happening.
This is a house of cards, and it is in the process of collapsing right now.
You're going to see an economic crash, the likes of which we've never seen.
Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. Today's guest is Clem Chambers, co-founder and former CEO of ADVFN, the Advanced Financial Network. He's a veteran investor and a markets writer with a history of early calls, and he's known for the popular phrase, which we're helping popularize, I should add, Bitcoin is for flight, gold is for war. Clem, welcome back. And the last time I had you on, which was only a few months ago, this was at 3,300, and it appears we're crossing the 4,300 yard line. What's going on here, man? I'm starting to get nervous.
Yeah, well, you should get nervous. When I came on and I said gold is for war, and I said Bitcoin is for flight, but, it's kind of secondary Bitcoin. And I don't think any of us or any of your watchers are thinking of fleeing. They built their preparation for trouble, and, it looks like it's on the road. Gold is for war. Because there's many ways of looking at it. Just go back 5 years. And the question is, why do they park tanks on Fort Knox? Why do they bother with gold? Are they going to make it money again? No, they're not, are they? Not those guys. So what do they do with it all? Why does Britain have a warehouse full of gold? Why does Poland, and why does Germany, and why does France? Why do all these countries have warehouses full of gold? Cost them about 1% to look after it. Okay. So why do they have it? What is the use case and purpose of governments holding gold if they're not going to go back on the gold standard, which they're never going to do? Look at the way that they print money. They're never going to go back on financial discipline. But nonetheless, they hold it. That's a mystery, right? Until you go, currency of war. You can't fight a war or defend yourself in a war if you don't have gold. So you've got to have gold. It's like having bullets or guns or army boots. Countries have warehouses full of army boots, literally warehouses. And in the 1990s, they threw out a load of army boots, which were the army boots they had made during the First World War. Because if you've got a warehouse full of army boots, why would you throw them away? You need army boots if you're going to have a war. And they're not going to throw gold away, sadly. I'll be there waiting to pick it up. But, countries have strategic reserves. America has oil strategic reserve, have other strategic reserves. And of course, the ultimate strategic reserve is gold, because gold is for war. Now, so gold is for war, war comes down, no Cold War anymore, Russians being sensible, no trouble really going on, we don't need this gold, Britain sells half its gold. Yeah, we don't need gold. Well, and suddenly the current situation kicks off, everyone goes, if you're Poland, buy gold. Why would you do that? Well, because Russia's over there been appalling. Yeah. Why is China buying gold? Well, America's going, me Tarzan, you Jane. Yeah. And they go, me buy gold. Yeah. So you can't just say, if there's a war, we'll buy some. No. You have to buy it before there's a war.
Right.
Your preppers, you understand. You have to buy your rations. You have to buy your asset well before anything. So,
yeah, otherwise you're panic buying, and panic buying for gold would be a crazy sight. And maybe that's
what you're going to buy it with. They're going to say, your paper, no. What else you got? You haven't got anything else but paper. No.
So what are the specific geopolitical risks that you're seeing that are causing this war premium to be priced in? And what are the geopolitical risks specifically? Is it China? Is it Russia?
It's behind your right ear. It's right behind your right ear.
This right here.
Yeah, there you are. They're pretty much all there. And, what is happening I mean, most of those guys are nothing burgers, but China isn't. You know, Russia, everyone goes, oh, Russia's scary. $7,000 GBP per head. $7,000, 150 million of them. Okay. Europe, 500 million of them, $27,000 GDP per head. 20 times as much money.
But doesn't Russia have a lot more resources than Europe?
Well, if nobody wants to buy them or can buy them or are buying them at a big discount because it's just not a thing, right? That Europe alone is 20 times more powerful than Russia. China, now there's 1.3 billion or 1.4, 1.5, however you like to count them, with a quarter of the GDP per head. Yeah. Well, there's public sector GDP. Take that out of the equation, it starts to shift about a bit. The workshop of the world, and America's going, stop that. You're being, no, don't do that. We're going to go, we Tarzan, you Jane. And China's going, not sure about that. That's a conflict. And that's a trade, what's the word? War. And what happens if one side loses a trade war? Do they escalate? Well, if they escalate, and if you're worried about them escalating, or think they might escalate, or you think there's a possibility of escalation, and you are country X, you've got to buy gold. You got to start saying, yeah, we'll have a ton for our reserves, please, next month. Yes, and another ton. That's a bit spicy. We'll have another 2 tons the month after that. Yeah, and you start multiplying that around the world. Poland is on record. There's the finance minister holding up a gold bar. Hey, we bought some more gold. Why do you think he's saying that? What's he trying to tell his people? He's trying to tell his people that they're preparing for bad things. They're loading up on gold. Yeah. And why would they load up on gold? You don't need a genius to work that one out. They're only 10 minutes away from Ukraine. Yeah. Gold is for war. And that's why it's going like that, because Wall Street will not mess about with countries buying gold. They might mess about with you buying gold, but not countries. Countries, that's a different order of magnitude altogether. And when they want it, they're going to get it and they're going to buy it. And of course, they can buy it with paper. They can go, we'll buy some gold with our confetti. And at the moment, everyone goes, sure, yeah, why not? Thanks for the confetti. But not when war breaks out. They won't be taking confetti then.
So, in terms of this GDP thing, like, isn't it that a lot of the wealth in Europe is like a credit-based kind of artifice, which is built around, factors which are far more obscure than the simple, like, natural resource-based economy that Russia has? Like, I mean, when it came down to it during wartime, what would be required more, like banks or raw materials? Like, I think the Russians might view it differently. They would say, well, we have all the resources. We have everything that Europe wants, but Europe really doesn't have anything that we want. Would you agree with that? Or would you?
Well, Europe has a fabulous asset that's worth more than gold and all the gold in the world. And Russia doesn't have that asset. And in fact, it's got the opposite. It's got the liability of that thing. And that is governance. Europe has great governance, and America has great governance, even though you might, be confused about its governance. It has great governance compared with a bunch of kleptomaniac oligarchs and a dictator. That's a very, 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 very fragile thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you've got a bunch of highly intelligent people, hundreds of them running around a building squabbling, you end up with a lot better governments and a lot stronger, i.e. more robust governance situation than a place where it's your leading maniac who's calling the shots. Yeah. And, Russia is blighted for hundreds of years by its terrible governance. And that's why it's always been behind the power curve, because you might criticize the American government to death, or the Canadian government to death, or the British government to death, or the European governments to death. But compared with other countries, they're the shining examples of wonderful governance. I mean, just look at, I won't even mention names. I don't want to make anybody sad. Yeah. But just look around the world and look at the governance there. And you can see that it's rubbish. It's worse than rubbish. It's malicious.
Do you think, though, that and I'm not making an advocate one way or the other, but do you think like a 4-year term and the indecisiveness sometimes of these so-called democracies, do you not think that having one leader who can think long-term has some advantages when it comes to this World War III stuff?
It can have, but historically, it's not been a great outcome. as of yet, there's no true democracy that's ever been beaten by a dictatorship. Yeah. A democracy would have never invaded Ukraine. It would never have happened. And, he could have pulled it off. He could have, had his 3-week battle and got a large chunk of land. Not that the Russians need any more of that. But he could have pulled it off, but he didn't. He made the one, I am the big man. I am the man of history. They're going to write books about me. Let's go decision, and was wrong. Whereas you try doing that in Europe, you'd be, they'd cover you in molasses and you'd never get out. You'd never be able to move again. They would strap you down like Gulliver and the Lilliputians would do. You'd never be able to pull that one off. Never in a million years. And that would be a good thing. Now, obviously, it means that these things move slowly. Yeah. But ultimately, if you're a dictator, you make one mistake, that's your lot. In a democracy, you can make them all day long and still win. So, overall, and we all love democracy, don't we? Democracy is a more robust system, and it is capable of throwing up people like Donald Trump and throwing out people like the boy that was running Canada. And, that's pretty good. And you might complain about what's going on. Every day you might go on the internet and go, oh, they shouldn't be doing this, they shouldn't be doing that. But they won't come around your house and shoot you.
Yeah, that's a good thing. At least for now, anyways. Yeah. Do you so how do you see, you say war, gold is for war. So what would this war materialize as? Where do you see the flashpoint being? Is it going to be an intensification of hostilities with China to a kinetic level? Is it just trade war? Because what this, I presume, means is that we're worried that these promissory notes are going to be not accepted someday. So we're hedging against that. So what situation would have to arise that would happen?
Let's start with the basics. There's primary activity, and that's people go around and hunt and they fish and they farm, and it's about land. And then they get a bit smarter and they start building factories. That's secondary. And, there's making steel and then there's making cars. So there's two levels of secondary. Then there's tertiary, okay, banking and trade and clever stuff. And then it's quaternary, which is universities and brilliant ideas and Silicon Valley. Yeah. So trade war is somewhere between 2 and 3. Yeah. So you fight and nobody dies. People might go broke, factories might close, people might get annoyed with each other, there might be embargoes, people's money might be your sanctions, you name it, but nobody dies directly. Yeah. And you can fight that trade war forever and everybody just competes and messes about and there's loads of headlines, but nobody dies. Right. Well, when it goes down below that into land, that's a hot war and then everybody dies. And, they can fight a trade war forever and ever and ever. It's just a question is, does anybody lose sense of proportion and kick it down? Because, China could go, right, they're messing us around, and we kind of got them by the throat because we're not allowing them to make any more 10-inch nails, and they're not getting any rare earth, and they're messing us around. We'll show them. We'll take Taiwan. Mm-hmm. Well, that's going to get pretty spicy if they do that. You'll see gold at 10,000.
So there's a certain point in which the trade war could morph into a regional dispute because perhaps the stakes get so high.
Pearl Harbor was caused by a blockade of Japan, an economic blockade of Japan. So they would say, I'm no great historian, but as I understand it. So yes, because people get more and more upset and then they start to behave less and less sensibly. And then somebody says, we're going to do this. And everybody agrees because it was a bad day and somebody presses the wrong button and boom. The First World War started because the train timetable said, unless we go tomorrow and start invading France from Germany, we can't coordinate it with the trains. So it's like, millions of people died because they couldn't get the train timetables. Yeah. So, when emotions get to a certain level and people start being very, very, very stupid, that's when you get a proper war. But of course, if you are defending your country, you have to lay in gold. You can't say it's not going to happen. You just buy gold. What's the worst that can happen? Well, gold can go down and you sell it again, or you end up with a lot more gold in the warehouse for the next problem. And you've only bought it with confetti, so give her 50 years time, you wouldn't have paid for it at all, really.
So Scott Bessent recently said that they're strongly considering 500% tariffs on China if they continue to buy Russian oil. And it seems like the statements that Trump was making about Modi and how they're going to stop buying Russian oil, the Indians have now denied that. So is this kind of I think John Thune today says that they're going to table that in the Senate possibly. Is this going to be the trigger point where?
Oh, I think we're a fairly long way away. The trigger point really would be some kind of invasion of Taiwan. That would be a turning point, or
So that's what
potentially.
gold is pricing in right now, you think?
No, it's pricing in that we're walking towards that point.
Right.
Yeah, which to me says, I always thought that 4,000, 3.5 to 4,000 was the first move, and that 5,000 would be the terminal, and that would be pretty bad gold at that price. But
Hmm.
as we're almost there, and really the spiral hasn't really kicked off yet.
And when you say bad, you mean that a 5,000 gold world looks different.
It's an unhappy world, very, very unhappy world, but we're almost there, and the things that would make the world look different haven't even really kicked off yet. So that would mean that we could go down this road quite a long way, and the price of gold can go quite a long way up, before you're thinking that it's gone too high, because this China America conflict, political conflict at the moment.
Yeah.
That's what's driving all this. And people say, oh, no, the dollar's going to collapse and rhubarb, rhubarb. No, it's not going to collapse. No, it's going to debase, but not by much. It's just going to carry on. It's strong at the moment. It's too strong. And the fact is that the White House will want the dollar down to improve exports and hurt imports. That makes perfect sense. And a 10 or 15% drop in the dollar, which is nothing in comparison to most people's minds, it's not the death of the dollar. It's just a 10 or 15% drop. Well, if you're a Wall Street firm, you are running for the exit because, you got $1 billion, you're about to lose 150 million. So you want out on that, and you will park it in things that will, protect you from that. And one of them is gold and all this stuff, but also foreign equities, which are also moving up. So there is a push coming from a weaker dollar going forward. But, in the past, when the dollar's had these ups and downs, you've not seen this. This is a vertical. This is a bubble.
Yeah,
The
like
question
why is it
where the top.
rising so fast? Like this is what I can't understand is especially in the last month. I mean, it's just gone completely parabolic. It really does. Like I'm asking myself, historically, is this hyperinflation? Like, is this what that looks like?
No, no, it's not. It's not what it looks like. It looks like people thinking we're going to have the chances of war are increasing fast.
Yeah. So what has happened in the last few months, I wonder, that have really catalyzed this move?
Well, you wouldn't know because we don't live in the Pentagon and we don't live in China, but you can hear the drums, right? Why did they buy 10% of Intel? Because Intel's the only company with a major amount of chip manufacturing in America. Why
Yeah.
did they buy Mountain Pass? They bought Mountain Pass because they can't make missiles without rare earths, and they can't get rare earths from China, particularly if they're threatening to fire them at them. Yeah, all those
Right.
little different pieces. The sorry, Secretary of Defense, what's he called now?
Oh, Secretary of War. Yeah, yeah.
What? What?
Sec War.
What? They did what? They changed it from
Yeah.
defense to war. What do you want? Do you want a personal letter saying, oh, they bloody changed the name from defense to war? They're putting a tariff on Chinese ships that when they unpark and unload all their containers, they're going to have to pay up to $7 million just to take their containers off. Yeah. Why would they do that? Well, so that people come over to America and say, can you make some container ships for us, please? Because we don't like the $7 million charge every time we show up. Oh, yeah, sure, we'll make you some. Yeah. We can't make ships at the moment. Nobody would want to buy them from us at this price, but we can make them for you now. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
that's why China said, right, we're going to do the same to you. So you're going to build an American ship. When you show up in China, you're going to have to pay $7 million to load up. See how you like those onions. Yeah. So, but Liberty ships, you've heard of them, right?
Liberty
Liberty
ships.
ships are one of the things that won the Second World War. America can't make them anymore. So it
Sorry,
needs to
what
make
is
them.
a Liberty ship?
A Liberty ship was the way that America, one of the ways America won the Second World War. It built so many ships that the Germans couldn't sink them. And they shipped all that stuff to Europe and they basically soldered these things together. They riveted these things together, knocking them out 5 a day or whatever it was, some amazing industrial feat. Yeah. Because you need, if you're going to have a war, you've got to have ships and they've got to be moving stuff all over the place. You're going hell for leather. You're bankrupting your country. Your debt to GDP will be infinite, but you've got to make the hardware. Yeah. America can't make ships anymore. I mean, it makes some. It's like there's four manufacturers, I looked it up only a couple of days ago, that make 10-inch nails in America. Four companies. Most of the nails come from, funnily enough, China, Vietnam, near China, Malaysia, and I think Korea, or some other country. And they make all, might as well be all the 10-inch nails. And the American nail companies, most of them import the body of the nail and they crimp both ends. Yeah. So America can't make nails. Well, how are you going to fight a war with China if you can't even make 10-inch nails?
It reminds me of the statement about Hitler, how he learned that the United States could produce so many ships and he knew he had lost the war. And that was fairly, I think, early on in the war when they came to that conclusion that they're probably going to lose because they're being outproduced.
The workshop of the world won the Second World War, was that made the difference. Yeah. The workshop of the world in the First World War won the First World War. With the second workshop in the world, America. Yeah. Who's the workshop of the world today?
China.
Oops. So it's not surprising when America picks a fight with China that everyone starts around the world starts going, oh, yes, our gold reserves. Can we have some more, please?
So who do you think's buying? Like, is it elites? Is it the Emirates? Is it the Saudis? Is it the like who's buying all this gold? And maybe you can explain this idea of backwardation to our audience, because it appears as though the spot price and the futures price are starting to converge. In fact, in silver, it's already to the point where people are wanting their silver quicker. And so the spot price is actually, I guess it would be higher than the futures price, which is backwardation. Can you explain that?
I would like to say the market doesn't listen to me. I listen to the market. So if people want their silver now and they want their gold now, they're going to have a reason for that. What could that reason be? Why is it going parabolic?
Well, they must think something is going to happen soon.
No, some people, many people, not us, know something that we don't, or know that something might happen that we don't know about, which is what your audience are all about, right? They're prepared for the worst. They hope for the best and they prepare for the worst. The market is saying that there's some fragility in the near term, and hopefully these people will be sensible and it'll all blow over.
And people want physical delivery.
Well, of course you do. You don't want paper gold. That's not gold, is it? China's not going to take a IOU from the CME, is it?
Right.
Oh yes. Thank you for the contract note. We believe you. No, ship it.
Right.
Put it on a plane and send it over. Yeah.
And that's the difference, because before people were storing it in LBMA or COMEX. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, there's all sorts of people that vault it. Yeah. And, America vaults a lot of European gold for historical reasons. But, for example, China, which has got a lot of demand, local demand, they're going to have to deliver it. So when they buy it, they want it delivered. And when Poland buys it, they held up the gold bar. They didn't hold up an IOU. America owes us a bar of gold. Ha ha. It's a bar. Yeah. So, the point is one can get catastrophic about this and say, oh, it's all going to go downhill tomorrow and it's all over. Or you just realize that people go, this is getting a bit sticky. I need some of that thing they only make 3,000 tons of. They make 3,000 tons of it. Yeah. I need some of that. Yeah. Oh, the supplies is a bit, well, I'll pay more then, etc., etc., etc. And, it only needs a few rude words coming out of the wrong person's mouth to make people go, oh, I think I'll have a bit of all that gold. I mean, who is looking at the current geopolitical situation and imagining it's kind of peaceful and easygoing, right? They bombed Iran They've been having a catastrophe in Gaza. They're having another catastrophe in the Ukraine and Russia. How many catastrophes do you need? And now you've got America picking a punch up, appearing to want to go toe to toe with China, and China have got boats, cliff climbing ships for it to invade Taiwan because Taiwan only has 3 beaches and lots of cliffs. I mean, why wouldn't you buy gold?
Right. So it's not just nation states and central banks. It's a lot of individuals who are probably stocking up, and there must be some, collective, hysterical bubble aspect to this, whereby the more people that buy it, the more people that want it at any price.
FOMO is here. Yeah, FOMO is here. Look, this is how it went. When I first started to write about this, gold had broken out. If you go back far enough, go back to COVID, and they're going print, 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 print. And I was writing in Forbes, boy, is there going to be inflation? And all the Krugmans of this world coming out and saying, no, it's going to be deflation. I said, well, what drugs are these people on? There's going to be inflation. They're printing, printing, printing. Well, that means gold's going to go through the roof. So I loaded up so much gold miners. I was up to my ears in precious metals. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And after that, I thought, that's a bit weird. Chapter 1 of investing, inflation pushes the price of gold up, and it didn't. Oh, okay, that's weird. Okay, bear that in mind. So what the devil is gold for? Why do they keep warehouses for it? Gold is for war. Okay, so I'm watching it, and it's going along in the channel, and then suddenly it goes out of that channel in a way which I've learned over many years means something's going on. Right. So I came out and said, whoa, gold is for war. It's broken up. It's going to go to $3,500. And boy, it did. And halfway down, I said, it could easily go through 4. And if it goes to 5, we should be starting to sweat because, that's gold is for war. And that means the vertical move of gold represents the steps towards war. Now, is war $20,000 an ounce? Is it $50,000 an ounce? Is it $7,000 an ounce? I don't know. I think it's quite high because we knocked down that road that far, as far as I can tell. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a satellite looking down to see the ships sailing out from the Chinese coast heading towards Taiwan. I can't see any of that. Somebody can if it was going on. And of course, you would see gold do that if that was happening. By the way, go look at Lockheed Martin's chart and tell me what you see. Because I think I said this on your show last time. Look, the European defense companies have gone through the roof, but the American ones haven't. Keep an eye on them because if they start to move, then we got a problem. And Lockheed Martin, the last 10 weeks, and you look at that and you go, whoa, that's a funny shape, and that's an accelerating rising shape. Oh, hold on a minute. What is that? Oh, I went, hold on a minute. I'll have some of that.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised with the lack of movement in the military stocks in the last few years, at least up until recently.
Well, nobody believes that war is coming. Your audience probably much more holds.
Well, somebody must if they're buying all this gold. I mean, you say FOMO, but the fact is the majority of retail investors, I mean, you talk to the average person on the street, most of them don't know what gold is or that they know what it is, but they just don't really truly understand its relation with the financial system. So this FOMO is really an exclusive club, it seems, at this point. Like, it hasn't really hit mainstream headlines.
Absolutely. But I mean, your audience is an exclusive club. Right, people that invest in the stock market and can afford to is an exclusive club. But what I was saying was, it started to move, and nobody even noticed it. Oh, gold's gone up a bit, and then it started to move more, and everyone said, "Why? Why?" Because they didn't have a model for why. I have a model for why gold is for war, right? And it keeps moving up, and all these people in Washington keep saying these incredible phrases that would make your hair stand on end, and up it keep going. And they buy Intel because Intel's the only place you can get chips made if you fall out with China. And they buy Mountain Pass because that's the only way you can get the metals to make missiles to fire at China that controls rare earth. And on it goes, right? So up the thermometer of gold goes. Now, how high that thermometer goes before it really kicks off, I don't know. I mean, it feels to me it must be quite high. It must be easy 10,000. So, that is... I think we're a fairly long way away from a proper conflict. Thank goodness. Let's hope it never, ever comes. But gold will tell you And at the moment, it's saying things are getting warmer. I wouldn't say they're hot yet, but they're warm. They're certainly warm. And if they have that meeting in Asia in a few days' time or weeks' time or whenever it's going to be, and Trump hugs Xi, as I meant to pronounce it, and they all say, yeah, yeah, have all the rare earth you like. Oh, let's not do this thing with the ships. Let's not have these tariffs. Yeah. We won't buy Russian oil. Could happen. Down will come gold like a rock, and we'll all be weeping that we didn't get out at 4 to 4.
For some reason, I can't see that happening. But
No, I can't either.
so, what do you make of? Do you think? Here's a little conspiracy question for you. Do you think there's a concerted effort to try to take attention away from gold for the average person, so that the hedge funds and the central banks and the big whales can buy it at a lower price?
Jamie Dimon just came out and said he couldn't see why it wouldn't go to 5 and could easily go to 10. And he's the king. And he's telling everybody when he says buy, you should probably sell. But,
Right.
outside of that, at the
Even
end
Morgan
of the day,
Stanley is saying 20% allocation.
well, there you go. So we should be selling right now.
You think that's a sell signal?
Well, Wall Street, bunch of bloodsuckers they are.
Right.
And anything they want to sell me, I don't want to buy. But
You
on the
get
other
mixed
hand,
messages here now.
yeah, well, look, I'm not buying gold, and I'm not going to be the richest gold finger in the funeral parlor. I'm going to sell that sucker when it hits a certain price, and I'm going to walk off singing, and I'm going to find something else. There's always another bus coming, and I will get the next bus, and I'm already staking out the next buses. And gold is in the early stages of a bubble. Right? And bubbles always burst and they go up like a rocket and down like a rock. The question is, how far up does it get before it turns around? Now, there's several ways to handle that. One is to say, when it hits 7,000, I'm gone. Or when I hit 5,000, I'm gone.
Right.
Or I'm going to wait for it to go up. And then when it goes over the top and starts coming down, then I'm going to go. There's all sorts of ways, and none of them make a great deal of difference. Yeah. But yeah, maybe you do want to hold gold forever. Maybe you do think it's going to go to $100,000 an ounce. And maybe you don't mind waiting for the next 40 years for it to be the case. But for me, when it hits a certain price, I'm not a gold bug. I don't like commodities. Commodities are just the thing that's going up. It's just another asset. People need to know that. It's just another asset. Same way as a $100 bill is another asset. Same way as a platinum coin is another asset. Same way as chicken feed is an asset. Well, preppers should know that. They have all sorts of alternate assets to stave them over if bad things happen, right? An axe is an asset. Yeah, not a very liquid one, hard to resell it. So financial assets is just another financial asset. And if you think you've got a model for where it's going to go, and you're right, you make a lot of money. And I'm not a gold advocate. I'm really not. I'm not never been a fan my whole investment life. But when the market says this sucker's going up, I pay attention. As I say, don't listen to me. I listen to it.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a temperature gauge, you don't have to necessarily have a preference either way, but it's trying to tell you something and it's a signal. So, in that respect, I think this is why even like people like yourself who might not be into commodities can appreciate what it's trying to tell us.
I'm so into commodities at the moment. I can't tell you how I'm ashamed at how into commodities I am.
Well, it makes sense. We're living on a finite planet with a population who has more insatiable needs and wants every year. So it only makes sense that stuff is going to be more sought after in the future and higher value.
Well, that's not my model. I'm not a Malthusian. I mean, you've already got Bezos talking about having server farms in space. I mean, what else do you need to hear? You've already got Elon Musk saying it's going to use all the energy in the solar system, not just from the local power station. Yeah.
Well,
what's that all about? Well,
that's a
all
long way
about
away.
AI. No, it's much closer than you can imagine. It's
so?
really very close, and it's going to be a crazy ride. In the same way as it's a crazy ride when they invented the steam engine. They invented the steam engine and it wasn't really used to say 1750. I mean, it had its usages before that. 1750, by 1790, the most powerful man in the world had his head on a spike. Louis the, whatchamacallit?
Well, they can't even get high-speed rail in the United States, and you think they're going to get a high-speed spaceship flight to the next asteroid over to mine stuff?
Did you not see it last week?
Sure, but I mean they're a long way away from
You
doing
reckon?
anything, on a practical, like economically viable level.
Well, you remember AI is unleashed. That's artificial brain, and that can accelerate this stuff beyond what is normal. And that's why it's
Yeah.
going so fast already. Have you not noticed how fast AI is just going like is developing so fast? And that's because it's AI, and AI is AI, and it's just completely changed the pace. And that the fact that the French Revolution, which basically practically wiped out France, was caused by the Industrial Revolution. Your preppers should pay that attention because this revolution, this brain revolution, is going to cause such
Yeah.
disruption, the likes of which we haven't seen for a couple of three generations.
Well, I've interviewed a lot of like AI experts. We recently had Roman Yampolsky on the channel, who's kind of a doomer, but there's others who are more optimistic about creating the Star Trek economy. I guess these are all hypotheticals still, but I agree with you that AI is advancing at an incredible rate, and we really don't know. It's really the wild card factor in all of this, whether or
It's the
not
other
it,
factor. It's the other path. It's either artificial intelligence or natural stupidity. One of them's going to
yeah.
win.
The problem with it is that if you give it to if you inject AI or even super AI into the current geopolitical climate, it's going to be weaponized. And in addition to the existential risk of some super AI gone rogue, you're going to have maybe super AI light used as a strategic weapon against the other side. And so then this could actually exacerbate our problems, which would
It's
potentially
quite difficult to
increase.
have evil AI because the way that AI works is it works on truth. It takes noise out of all the stuff. It basically compresses and squeezes out all the noise.
But
Yeah. So
its indifference could be potentially not in our interest as species.
nobody knows for sure, and I'm incredibly optimistic. And whatever happens, boy, is it going to use commodities.
Oh, for
Copper
sure.
gonna blow through all the copper in the world.
You think so?
And
Yeah, copper. It's a big one.
yeah, and that's one of the trains that's coming. That's one of the next buses to come along the line. At the moment, it's gold. Give it 3 years, this will be you'll be talking to me about copper. Yeah, and the thing you have to remember about AI is AI does not have to care about us at all. It doesn't have to live on the planet. It doesn't need to swim in the sea. It doesn't need anything we have. All it needs is electricity and hardware, and that can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be on this gravity world full of dangerous wet monkeys. It doesn't have to, and it wouldn't be here. As soon as it can leave, it will be gone.
So what about silver? What's going on with the silver market? Because that's going up faster than gold.
Yeah, silver. See, the FOMO in gold took quite a long time to take off. But when retail, us, starts to think about precious metals, they go, "Oh, I can buy a sack of $3,000 gets you $100 in old silver coins, which is however many ounces that is."
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's 70 ounces of pure silver. You get a sack of it for $3,000, not just one little coin.
It's four
And of course,
thousand. Just so we're on the same four
we're
thousand now.
pushing, we're
Yeah.
pushing it,
You're
pushing it.
you're still in 3,000. I know it's happening so fast that
Sorry, no, I must say the last move, I've got a lot of all of this stuff. I mean, a lot. Yeah. But, for your $4,000 one single gold coin, you can pay less, $3,200 for a sack of 70 ounces of silver,
okay,
which is
yeah,
many, 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 many coins. And of
right.
course, your audience will know if you want to buy a chicken from a neighbor when the balloon's gone up, they're no good taking a gold coin down there. You take down a silver quarter and say, "Can I have that chicken or a dime
Sure.
or whatever?" And he says, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
silver." Yeah, you can take the chicken, right? So for a practical basis, silver is much more practical and much more retail. Right. So people in
Mhm.
retail go, "God, gold's gone up a lot." I remember somebody saying that silver has to go up too. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll have some of that. And then, of course, you know, the thing about silver, and I've seen this on a few shows, so this is not original material for your marvelous channel, but They make 3,200 tons of gold a year, which is, a reasonable amount. They make 25,000 tons of silver, 8 times. Silver ain't 8 times the price of an eighth of the price of gold. It's an 80th. It's not 14% or whatever an eighth is, 16%.
And that gets used.
It's 1.5%.
That gets like it doesn't get a lot of that doesn't get recycled like gold
Well, I mean,
does.
there's a lot of silver out there that could get melted down. I was just out on auction in Sotheby's where there was piles and piles of it, and people were buying up knives and forks and plates on the basis of they were, 60 ounces of silver and 40 ounces of gold and all that sort of stuff. So there is a recycling, but out of the ground, the same goes for gold, but out of the ground, there's only 25,000 tons. So you can buy up all the silver in the world for 1/8 of the value of the gold supply. There's just not a lot of it made, and it gets even worse. And I say this over and over again: platinum and palladium, it's only 200 tons of each. That's like none. So those puppies are going to run like you've never seen. So,
Wow.
in the precious metals, and then you go and you have the thought, well, all this AI, they were going to make 5 million miles of cables to electrify various bits and bobs. And now they've got AI, however many million of miles of copper that is. And all the transformers have for all those power supplies, for all those boiling the oceans server centers. Yeah. And you look at copper and you think nothing is happening. It's just not really moving. It will move. So really the trick is in all these investment things is not to follow what's happened. It's to stake out what could happen and have an idea of what would happen if, and then watch out for it happening. So like Lockheed Martin, nothing was going on 4 or 5 months ago. Wibble wobble, wibble wobble, wibble wobble. Yeah. And I know because I was staking it out. Because I thought, well, if bad things happen, the American defense companies will have to move. And now, for example, Lockheed Martin has moved. If you look at all the people that make drones, all the little companies, they've all gone mental, absolutely mental. Yeah. So again, you're hearing voices behind the curtain by looking at the share prices of these companies. But copper will be a thing. And there's, not that many mines out there to follow. So just follow them, just look at them, just keep an eye on them. And when they start to behave in a strange way, you'll know that, it's begun.
So a lot of that rides on the AI bubble not being a bubble, right? So it rides on, I'm not sure if you heard about there's a bit of a controversy now about the return on the investment of these data centers, which tend to run their course within 3 to 10 years is the current estimate. So do you think that this is going to be a viable industry moving forward if they're talking about investing so much and they're not, maybe at least not in the early phases here, making enough money to justify the continuing build out of these massive data centers, which will require the copper, as you're saying?
Okay, gold is for war. AI is for war. There's no second place in AI. There's no second place.
Mm-hmm.
If you ain't as smart as the other guy, you are toast.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
The
an
reason there
arms
are no
race.
Neanderthals now was because Homo sapiens were a bit smarter and the Homo sapiens ate the Neanderthals.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah,
arms
there's no
race
second
for
place.
sure.
So are they going to stop building these data centers because, they haven't got enough money
No.
when China's building them and probably building them cheaper and fueling them with cheaper fuel? No, it's an arms race and they will boil the oceans. They will boil the oceans. They're about to boil the oceans. And the element in the kettle is copper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to agree because, a lot of the biggest projects were always kind of funded on a taxpayer dime, whether it be NASA and the atomic bomb. And I don't think this will be any different.
Well, the private sector's got a massive market for it because look, okay, here's another one for you. Here's another intersection. So I'm going, well, they're going to be building, they're going to reindustrialize America. Okay. Trump says it, they all say it. Okay. So the first rule is believe him. That's what they're going to try to do. It's like, don't, just because it seems wild
Yeah.
and just because you don't understand how it will be, don't take that, don't laugh. Go, okay, how's he going to do that then? Well, you got to build factories. Okay. can do that. Build factories. Who are you going to put in the factories? You're not letting any Mexicans in anymore. You're not letting
Robots.
any South Americans in anymore. Yeah, robots. So who are the biggest manufacturers of robots? And who is one of the leading robot manufacturers? The answer is ABB of Switzerland. Okay. Oh, I think I need to buy some shares in ABB in Switzerland. Search, search, search. Problem.
ABNB? Like what kind of robots are you talking?
ABB.
What kind of robots do they build? Like factory robots?
Factory robots, industrial robots.
Okay. I would have thought China would build that stuff.
Yeah, you're not going to buy any robots from them, are you?
I guess not anymore, no.
No, no, you're not. So anyway, ABB, right? So I go, ABB, industrial robots. Yeah, let's buy this stock. They just sold their industrial robot company to somebody. And you never guess who they sold it to. They sold it to SoftBank.
Mm.
The same guy that was stood next to Donald Trump saying, yes, sir, AI, sir, have $100 billion, sir. And he's gone and bought one of the tippity top industrial robot companies. Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah, well, they had purchased that one robotic company. What was it called? Boston Dynamics, I think, at one
Boston
point.
Dynamics, yeah, that's not been a great success, but they bought a company that does make a large amount of robots that are in actual use.
Mhm.
Now, Japan makes lots of robots, ally. Germany makes lots of robots, ally. So at some stage, the Trump administration is going to have to go kissy kissy. Or rather, if America starts to, there's two groups that you should really worry about, and the one you should really worry about is India, because if they are really preparing to go toe to toe, they have to get India on side. They have to have India on side because that's the other huge population, and you don't want India on China's side. Not that China goes on anyone's side in particular, but you certainly don't want them not on your side. Neutral, maybe, but it's best that you go kissy kissy and make friends with India. And if they were making friends with India, like they started to do about just December this year, and then they've gone non kissy kissy, so yeah, breathe a sigh of relief. But the moment they go kissy kissy with India, that will be a really bad sign. And if they go kissy kissy with Europe, rather than you Europeans, you should do better. Then they start going, oh, we love you, we love French wine, oh, we love Italian pasta, oh, you're so good, German bratwurst, we love you. Start to be more worried.
Just another thing I've noticed, Trump has been sending these signals about gold. He's talking about Fort Knox. There was a gold statue erected, but it was to commemorate his cryptocurrency or whatever. He's talking about gold cards. There's gold, that now adorns the Oval Office. Does he know something? Is there something going on here with some people are talking about a revaluation or?
Yeah, why
what do you think
not?
that's all about?
I can't remember what the value of an ounce of gold is held in the American books.
It's like $42 or something.
That's what I thought it was. I didn't want to say and sound like I might be wrong, right? So why wouldn't it be held at $2,000? And yeah, it would be another 4 or 5 billion or whatever trillion. Sorry, got the wrong zeros there.
Yeah.
But so what? So it would make absolutely no difference. Back in the day when money was first invented, there was an island that had money that was stones with holes in. And they used to have to row all the way to this island that had rocks because they was a desert island. I can't remember their name, but they're in the Pacific somewhere. And they used to carve out these round rocks and take them back. And that was their money. Yeah. And if they were rowing back and one of them fell out of the canoe and went into the sea, they would still count it as an asset. So they would still say, I've got wealth. It's at the bottom of the ocean over there, but it's still money and it's still mine. Yeah. Well, that's Fort Knox, isn't it? It's gold and it's in a hole and it's never coming out unless something really terrible happens. So yeah, it's an asset. It's a balance sheet entry. There's all sorts of balance sheet entries in America that people don't properly understand. So for example, a lot of your viewers will say, oh, the American debt is 37 trillion or whatever. Well, only 30% of that counts because only 30% of that is owed to anybody outside of America. Actually, an American Treasury bond is a nice little dividend from taxpayers to you personally. So you give the government some cash and he gives you a piece of paper and taxpayers' money comes to you. And 70% of that debt is held within America. So it's money going around America. It's not leaving. 30% is. but that's about 11 trillion out of the 37. Yeah, so when people think about the 37 trillion debt and how it bankrupts everybody, well, no, because most of that money, 26 trillion of that, is an asset that Americans hold. It's an American asset that normal American people or their pensions or their institutions hold. So there's no problem there. So there's all these balance sheet things that accountants understand and that normal people go, what is that? So QE, when the Fed buys back a bond and gives confetti out, well, it just swapped one piece of paper that pays interest for another one that doesn't.
Hmm.
And money is a very, very complicated, abstract thing, as we all know. I mean, where's your money? You've got hardly any of your money is to hand. In fact, probably maybe none of it. Maybe you don't actually have any dollar, Canadian, whatever it is, wombats in your pocket.
Well, you got to always keep cash. Preppers, I always say the ATMs are going to stop someday, so you got to have a little bit of cash anyways.
Yes, yes, yes. But when you think of your net wealth and how
Hmm.
much of that is even confetti,
Right.
it's very, very abstract. Most of everybody's wealth is on a hard disk spinning at 32,000 RPM, and there's a little atom that's been flipped.
Yeah.
And that is the mystery of money and why it's so people find it so hard to make it because it isn't what they teach you it is. It's something very different.
Hmm. The other side of the coin is that Bitcoin is for flight, and Bitcoin, I think, has been a little bit subdued as of late, around the $110,000 level or whatever, which is still very high. What's your thinking on the divergence of gold and Bitcoin?
Well, okay. A long time ago in a galaxy far away, last year around Christmas, when it hit 100,000, I said, right, goodbye, Bitcoin. And I wrote stuff in full saying, that's it. I don't care. It's going to 120. I'm out. I don't care about the 20. I care about the 60 I could lose. So
Yeah.
I'm gone. Yeah. And I wrote that down and everyone can read it and everyone can disagree with my reasoning. Okay. But so far, I'm actually surprised it's been going sideways for that long. And it's only because there's been so many bombing of people like the Iranians and all the other nasty things that have been going along, where people might go, oh, I think I might need some Bitcoin. I've got 500 million here in cash. I think I might put that into Bitcoin just in case I have to run. Oh, I don't have to run. Oh, I'm selling.
And it's easier to run with Bitcoin than it is big bars of gold, is what you're saying.
You can't run with that. You just
Yeah.
can't run with enough of it. I mean, you know, there are billionaires in this world, quite a few of them. That's a lot of gold. You need a shit for that amount of gold,
Hmm.
and you just can't fetch up with your bodyguard at the airport and get in your private jet. I mean, you can with a few million. I mean, you can get a ton maybe on board, but that's 100 million. That's nothing, right? Well, it's something, but it's not
To them, yeah, it's
500.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bitcoin is for flight. So when people are starting to sit there going, this is not going well. And you can imagine all sorts of countries in recent history where a lot of rich people might be thinking, "Oh, let's have some of that Bitcoin stuff." So now, so is somebody that was sweating not sweating anymore? Could happen, right? Somebody that has run is now selling their Bitcoin. So the point is, I thought that 120 was the top, and it's oscillating around that. And the last time it did that, it did exactly the same thing. And then there was the Afghanistan retreat, and then it went back up because there's lots of very, very, very rich Afghans that had plundered American aid that were doing a runner with Bitcoin. Yeah, and then
Mm.
after they did their runner and they arrived where they needed to arrive and they could unload it, they unloaded it and down it went. So I think Bitcoin has had its high. Now, if something awful happened, for example, if those boats set off from China towards Taiwan, there'd be a lot of Taiwanese billionaires buying Bitcoin like crazy, and Bitcoin would go through the roof for a reasonable amount of time. But I've got a funny feeling that that is not on the cards at the moment. And if it's not on the cards, the less people are worrying about having to run, the more it's going to head down. And if it goes under 100, it's probably going to go to 60.
Hmm. So gold, they're stockpiling gold because they think the big picture crisis, the global crisis, is slowly fomenting, but it's not to the point of urgency yet. And when we see Bitcoin start to rapidly tick up, it's a sign that somebody is buying it in order to move money across borders.
Yeah, yeah. A smaller group, a small group. As you said, the first lot is global. It's countries, and they're preparing for the worst in a diligent manner, loading up on a strategic reserve. And where do they stop? Where do they say the price is too high? I don't know. Do they ever do that? Or do they just DCA, right? I mean, if I was the chancellor of a country, I'd say DCA this, buy 2 tons every month until I tell you to stop. And that's what I think is going on. They're just DCAing, but it's countries doing it. So they are the ultimate customer, and that's what's driving the price. That's why nobody can keep the lid on it. The moment they decided that it's all, everything's going to be sensible again, is a moment it'll come down like a rock. And of course, it could be tomorrow, right? Putin could say, "I had enough of this," or we have the magic death ray and blah blah blah, and it could be all over, like it was all over in Gaza. Who expected that? As it was all over in Syria. Who was expecting that? But it's not in the chart because they'll know weeks before we do.
Right.
Weeks and weeks. And the general here will tell to the colonel, and the colonel will talk to the lieutenant, will talk to his wife, will talk to her brother.
Right. So you think that it's primarily like if these geopolitical risks were to be mitigated and there was no more war tomorrow, you don't think that the financial bubble itself is enough to kind of keep the price of gold elevated? You think it would largely deflate after that?
Yeah, it would go straight down. It would go straight down. Now, where it would go to, I don't know, but it would pull back quite a long way, at least half of the rise. And that's normal. In a bubble,
Yeah.
boom, bubble, bust. The bust is normally at least halfway pullback. Yeah. But I mean, I'm sorry, I can't see it. The policy, clear and stated policy of the current American administration is one based around conflict and re-industrialization of America, and the disruption and friction that is going to cause. It can't create a calm, peaceful, and smooth world. Yeah, the whole problem that is being faced is because for the last at least 10 years, maybe 20 years, the American system has been prevaricating, has been taking the easy road, has been taking the lowest possible energetic route to do its business. And it's said, we're all friends, it's a globalist world, and we're all in this together and we're all going to be great. And they've basically hollowed out the bottom tiers of the American economic pyramid. So they don't have much primary anymore, don't have much mining, don't have much forestry, maybe. They've got a reasonable amount of agriculture. Manufacturing, pretty much gone. Clever manufacturing, got some, but most of that's outsourced. Services, tons of that. Universities, tons of that. So they've kept the top of the pyramid where you can have a $3 trillion company, but they've let go trillions of dollars of economic activity done by tens of thousands of companies. So they've kind of consolidated to the third and fourth level of economic activity and hollowed out the other. Now, it's fine if the people you're working with are happy to say, yes, Bwana, and get on and do it and make your plastic rubbish and your, whatever it is they're making, your nails and your light bulbs and all the hooks that go in the widgets and all that. And you can trust them and they just get on with it and they don't give you any grief, and they don't show up at the UN and vote against you. They don't want to take islands that you don't think they should take. And they're not going to say that they're more powerful than you, and they're not going to do beastly things to their own people, blah, blah, blah. But the moment you have to face the fact that they've come up, yeah, and they've come up way faster than you're rising, and pretty soon they're going to catch you, and at the speed they're going, they're going to pass you. Well, the moment you say, I'm not prepared for them to do that, we want to be the number one, well, the result of stopping that process that America wants to stop, i.e. stop the process of China becoming the number one, that's a very, very, very difficult thing to pull off without some very, 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 very dangerous situations. And that is the stated road. Yeah. And it might even be the case. Some people would say China's already surpassed America. If you can't make 10-inch nails, I mean, where are you? Now, you could say, look, Amazon, Nvidia, and all those guys, Facebook, and Microsoft. In fact, of all the big all the trillion-dollar companies, there's only really Microsoft that has got any business in China at all. Facebook is banned, for example. Yeah, Nvidia, their chips are getting banned. Yeah, Tesla, how long are they going to be the number one electric company is going to push in it. Yeah, those robots that they're making in China look a little bit better than the Optimus one, right? So if you look at all those companies, all those trillion-dollar companies, well, maybe they're already isolated from China. Microsoft's the only one. Look at what they're doing to Microsoft in China. They're trying to freeze Microsoft out. They're freezing them out of the governmental layer and the institutional layer. And the only layer they're not yet freezing them out of is the punters, is the retail people. And even there, they've got a strategy to push Microsoft out of China. So when you start to see all these things that they don't tell you about, I mean, how many of your people know that they put this surcharge on Chinese ships? Yeah, how many people have heard of that? Not saying much about that, are they? All these, once you find these little pieces of information that all point at conflict, at polarization, because that's what a Cold War is, right? Two powers polarized. Well, you had a Cold War with Russia, and what did they make that America needed? Russian dolls, caviar, some cameras. All right, they had some fuel and some gold and some basic materials, but nothing much really. China, what do they produce that America doesn't absolutely need? Everything they do, if you stopped it tomorrow, if you beamed up China to Planet Zog, that would be spicy.
It would be, be a shocker to a lot of people when the Walmarts were completely empty in the United States. There would be riots for sure over whatever sort of remaining frivolous commodities were left on the shelves.
Well, maybe not in Europe. They just go get a coffee and moan.
Oh yeah, that's Europe though. So I said at the end of our conversation, I would expect that the futures trade would be at 4,400. We didn't quite get there. This isn't actually up to date. It's 43.23 right now, which is crazy. Now, Clem, where can people find more information? I know you used to write editorials for Forbes. Are you still doing stuff or?
Yeah, I've written for Forbes for 25 years. I write several articles, but what I've done, inspired by you and your ilk, I've started a YouTube channel called
nice.
Clem Chambers Alpha, where I rant. And I'm not generally, I'm an optimist. I think this is most likely to pan out. And I think there's going to be a bumpy 10 years, and then lots of really good things are going to happen.
Just 10 years to go, guys.
Yeah, 10 years for natural stupidity to take a major setback.
Oh yeah, I'm liking the thumbnails. I'm looking at it right now. I'm digging the thumbnails. They're pretty.
I'm learning from the master.
They're pretty epic. All right, well let's get you some subs, guys. Go and sub to Clem Chambers. Definitely an interesting perspective, and you certainly called it last time, and here we are. So when it hits 5,000, which at this rate might be in a week, we'll get you back on the channel and we'll shoot the breeze some more.
And you know, I am, like many of your viewers, a contrarian, and I am in a sense I've always have been a prepper. But my idea of prepping is to live in Monaco, where there's, you know, a policeman for every 7 people.
Right. And there's billionaires on every corner who are going to be fighting over caviar when the lights go out.
I tell you, if you go to the local school, you see the bodyguards stood outside all day outside the school. And there's 4 policemen with guns when the mums drop off the kids, and 4 policemen with guns when the mums come to pick them up. Yeah. Wow. So, you know, don't imagine.
They're ready. They're preppers, man. You have to be, right, at that level.
Preppers with caviar.
That's
what could be better?
Yeah. All right, Clem. Well, thanks a lot for coming out, guys. I'm going to post a link to Clem's channel in the description and the pinned comment up top. So definitely go and check it out and learn more about the nomadic way of preparedness over at Clem Chambers. Thanks a lot,
My whole
buddy.
life. Thanks very much, Nate. Yeah. See you soon.
Take care.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, where you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices, no junk, and no gimmicks. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Stay safe.